My presentation is on the organization of the Nazis for the extermination of the Jewish population. This presentation was created by Carter Pfitzer. The Nazis organized a 4-point plan to execute the Holocaust. This included making the Jews wear yellow stars, forcing them into slave labor, looting their property, and finally sealing them into ghettos and camps. Here you can see a Jewish couple demonstrating their need to wear yellow stars by the Nazi regime. The Nazis took the approach of dehumanizing the Jews to the general public and making them into animals in their own minds. Here you can see some SS officers abusing a Jewish gentleman. The Nazis used many well-educated and well-versed people and fooled them into their elaborate ruse. Here you can see a pair of German engineers being fooled by these two SS officers. To execute the Holocaust, the Nazis organized and executed Kristallnacht, employed an efficient railway system, fooled the general public, and created an efficient concentration and extermination camp system. Here you can see a map of where the German Reich and occupied territories were during this time in history, so you can see how much they controlled right around this time. My first main point is to begin their conquest of the Jewish population, the regime organized and executed Kristallnacht. The Jewish Virtual Library states that Kristallnacht was organized by Joseph Goebbels, the leading Nazi propagandist. Kristallnacht was a vicious attack on the night of November 9th through 10th, 1938 on the Jewish population. Here you can see a synagogue that was actually burned during Kristallnacht. The Dade School vote on the organization of Kristallnacht was vital to the persecution of the Jews. They invaded and burned known Jewish stores and synagogues. All the violent acts were committed on the night of Kristallnacht were to reach an end to the answer of the Germans' Jewish problem. Here you can see a video of the night of Kristallnacht. My second main point is once the Germans began to deport and kill Jews, they realized that they couldn't stop, so they organized a way to find Jews and transport them, thus ushered in the railway. The Dade School emphasized how the Nazis persecuted to the Jewish people as the Nazis went into houses and they used public records to find Jewish people. If there were a suspected Jew, they would look at physical characteristics. These were stereotypes such as large hooked nose. Using these stereotypes, many non-Jewish people were prosecuted. Here is actually a Jewish man getting his mustache measured to see if he is a Jew. USHMM.org stated that the Nazi regime built railway systems so they could quickly and efficiently transport the Jews. These railway systems would transport straight from the ghettos to the camps in the straightest possible path they could think of. Here's actually a map of the camps and the railway systems connected. My third main point. During this time in history, in the eyes of the German citizens, the Nazi regime was a great thing. They were raising the economy, and the propagandists were doing their job. People felt Germany was at a height not seen since the beginning of World War I. USHMM states that throughout German-occupied Europe, the Germans arrested those who resisted their domination and those who they judged to be racially inferior or politically unacceptable. People arrested for resisting German rule were sent to concentration camps or extermination camps. And here's actually another gentleman, he's actually not Jewish, being beaten and taken off to the camps. The Nazi regime would not only need to fool the general public, but also the educated elite to do their bidding. History.com explains, in 1946, two partners in a leading pest control company, Tesk and Stabenow, were tried before a British military court on charges of genocide. It was argued that the accused must have realized what the massive supply of Zyklon B they provided for concentration camps was far above the quantity required for delousing. Here's actually a a document for that Tess and Stabenow, their ordering document to get the Zyklon B. Fourth main point. The final and perhaps most important part of this plot was the organization of the camp systems. And here you can actually see the deportation of the Jews as it gets lower as the war goes on. Nodak explains the selection process like this. Right off the train, men and slightly older boys were separated from the women. An SS physician would look over every person. They would make a quick decision on if they were healthy enough for strong labor. Here you can see many Jewish people being pulled off the train, several dead. History 1900s Jennifer Rosenberg explains how they disposed of the unwanted. All the sickly or the weak were herded into a single large concrete room, where they were stripped down and exposed to the deadly insecticide Zyklon B. The bodies would then be burned or buried. Here you can see a container of Zyklon B, which was used to actually dispose of the people. Concluding paragraph. Reimpose my thesis statement. To eradicate the Jewish population, the Nazi regime organized and executed Kristallnacht, employed an efficient railway system, controlled the general public, and created efficient concentration and extermination camps. The Nazis emphasized on a single point. They turned the Jews into into cattle ready for slaughter. This is how the public saw them and how they saw themselves. Here I have a quote from Sir Winston Churchill. Now this is not the end. It is not even the beginning of the end, but it is perhaps the end of the beginning. Works cited. Thank you for watching my presentation, and good night.